Welcome to another Business of Coaching workshop. I'm your host, Andrew Jackson, strength and nutrition coach at Barbell Logic and co-founder of TurnKey Coach. Today, I'm excited to have with us Matt Jolly from Be Jolly Performance in SoCal. And I think we initially met and got connected through Business of Strength as well, one of our other strategic partnerships. And so we're excited to have you on the show, Matt. Thank you for joining us, and looking forward to hearing more about your story.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Andrew.
So give us a little bit of a background, what led up to opening a gym and what kind of lit the fire to do something crazy like opening a gym in SoCal.
So 2019, I grew up in New Jersey, moved out in 2019 to California, Southern California. Was working at a Crunch Fitness in San Clemente. As you guys know, the next year COVID happened. So I ended up just training my clients at their houses. A lot of them had home gyms already. So I was fortunate enough to continue coaching them and training. And one of my clients basically told me, he's like, I'm sick of you coming to my house. We're going to find you a location. We're going to get you up and running. So the first place we looked at was actually the facility we're at now. He's like, if you don't sign the lease, I will never train with you ever again. So that's kind of what pushed me into starting my own business. And it was still pretty new out to California. So I just wanted to experience the surfing, the skimboarding, just beaches and all that. So the first 2 years from 2020 to 2022, our business was, I think I told you already, I called it amateur hour. So just kind of floating by, trying to figure it out. And then 2023, got part of a mentorship and started to really figure it out.
That was Business of Strength that you started working with?
I actually started with another one. It was, it's a CrossFit one. I forget what it's called. Two Brain Business. Like I was saying before, they're asked like, oh, so how many leads do you get in per week? I'm like, what's a lead? And they're like, oh boy, okay. We got a lot of room for improvement here. So it's kind of eye-opening once I reached out for help. How much I didn't know about running a business. I could train people really well. But when it came to the financials and the back end stuff of running a business, had a lot of room for improvement, we'll say.
What was your background, in leading up to 2019? Did you go to, were you more into like business background, physical, or sports performance?
Kind of like most sports guys, they get really into the weight room in college, or like that's my story. I got really into the weight room in college. Once I graduated in 2017, I started working at State Farm for about 4 months, and within the first month, I knew I was like, this is not a path for me. My degree was actually in business, and then I was fortunate enough to have like a mentor. His name's Christian Lee. He owns a facility on the East Coast named Athletic Republic. And he was also he was assistant baseball coach at Rowan University at the time. So he kind of took me under his wing and kind of showed me how to, like a stepping stone, how to get better as a coach. So I was fortunate to have him in New Jersey to really show me what certifications I need to take, how to get better, how to make this passion into a career. Once I quit State Farm after about 4 months, I started working for him more, and he just kept feeding me information, helped me get better. And then came out to California to visit my brother, and he was like, dude, you got nothing going on for you in New Jersey. Just move out here. So that's what happened. I moved out here, and here we are.
And so it sounds like you must have started out essentially 100% one-on-one when you were at Crunch Fitness. Was that a staff position there, or did you just rent time? How did you manage that business model?
It was, I believe it was an independent contractor. So it was like the more hours I worked, the higher my tier went. So if I only worked 10 hours, I would get, I don't know, $20 an hour. If I worked 20 hours, I get 22. So the more I trained people, the more my pay would be. And which was, I was getting to that higher end tier right in, I think it was like February. And I was like, okay, March is the month. I'm going to hit that top tier. I think it was like $30 an hour at the time. And then, the first week I was like, this is it. second week, I think it would have been the second or third week where people are like, "Oh, there's something going on. I have to cancel to play it safe." And I was like, "Oh shit, I'm not gonna hit my numbers." So that's kind of the crunch story.
So after going through COVID survival mode, I think we get asked this question a lot, or it's kind of like the pivotal moment when how do you take that leap to sign a lease? Now you're on the hook for a monthly expense. And at that time you said you had 20-ish clients, or
I would say less. I probably had about 10 clients I was training at their house.
10 clients at their house, and they were paying you, do you mind me asking, roughly per month?
I think at the time I was doing packages. So it was like 4-session pack was $400 for an hour. And all of them were doing hour sessions.
Gotcha.
And then one of the parents, I ended up training her son. And that's kind of what got me back into the athlete training, since Crunch wouldn't let me train athletes there.
Gotcha. So how did you, not only do you sign the lease, but then you've got to go procure all the equipment, that kind of big initial outlay. How did you go about that? What was that process like?
So I was fortunate enough, the client that actually mentioned like, "Hey, you can't train me anymore in my house." He was like, "Hey, I'll front you the money for the equipment, and then you can just pay it back with time." So I was fortunate enough that he was generous to do that. So once I put together a list of like, this is all the equipment we need, he wrote me a check. And then every month I would just keep paying him back as fast as I could, so I didn't owe him any debt. And there was no interest on it. So it's a very rare opportunity, which I'm extremely grateful for.
This is, I think, this is a common story, believe it or not, that I think people could really benefit by being intentional about this strategy. Not in like a creepy way, but it's like, move to an area where there are wealthy people and figure out how to meet them and
be broke, and they'll help you. Be a good person, and they'll help you out a little bit.
I have heard this story so many times where somebody's client just happens to be, you don't even know it, at first, but it slowly kind of comes out that they're doing well, if and that moment happens where they're like, "How about I just help you get something started?" And
that's exactly pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, without him, I would probably not be here today.
I mean, you are, obviously I've seen your lifting. We shared some of your posts before. You're very consistent. It looks like mostly barbell training, strength related training. So obviously proficient there as a coach. But do you think there's anything kind of intangible that you do, either subconsciously or maybe it's intentionally, advice that you would give somebody kind of in those early stages where and Joe talks about this a lot, right? We tend to, as young coaches, fixate on the X's and O's, or, think we have the Dead Sea Scrolls of programming. But when you're actually trying to grow or start a business, is there anything that you think is important that's outside of just the technical aspect of coaching people?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is everybody's so different. And like you said, the X's and O's matter, but the person in front of you probably doesn't give a shit about the X's and O's. Most of the people want to feel good. They want to look good. So it's like, how do I go about to learn what this person wants and then articulate with them like, "Hey, this exercise is going to do such and such for you to help with your goal." So it's more just getting on a personal level with people. I've heard people in the past say you want to keep a boundary between clients and like friendship, but we've found that like the more friendly we can get with people, the more we get to know them, the more willing they are to open up to us about their nutrition, about their training, about their stress, their sleep, and that will allow us to serve them better. The more we get to know them. So like most of my adult clients that I train one-on-one, like we're buddies. Like I can consider them all friends. I would be happy to hang out with them outside of the gym. So that's, I think, the main ingredient when you're first starting up is like the person in front of you. If you have 10 clients, treat them like they're your only client. You're reaching out to them. You're doing everything you possibly can to give them a high-end service and just giving them your best.
Was there anything that you brought from your brief stint in insurance or in your business education that you think helped in those early days?
If I'm being completely honest, throughout college, I was doing the bare minimum to just get a degree.
Yeah.
I didn't really learn how to learn until I had to take the exam for State Farm because I failed it 3 times. It was the property and casualty exam. So then after college, I was like, I had to actually learn how to learn. Once I figured out how to learn, my whole world changed. I never read before. I started reading. I read every day now. So it's just like little improvements every single day. Since before, I had no interest in learning. It was like people are like, in school, I felt like they try to tell you what to learn. You have to learn the science and the math and this. And then post college, it was like, oh, I can pick anything I want to learn about. And I really dove deep into training and spent years. I'm still learning to this day of like training and service and marketing, all those cool things that are part of the gig here.
So you get help kickstarting a space. Things are still, I mean, in SoCal, COVID was like a 2-year thing. A lot of places in the country it was over pretty quick, but
ours was like a little bubble in Orange County. So I was like,
that's true. That's true.
I was at the beach every day.
That's true. That's true. You mentioned getting that first mentorship, but for those that aren't aware, you've now scaled up over 100 clients consistently.
Yes.
So obviously rapid growth in a pretty short period of time to get to from less than 20 to over 100 in just a couple of years. What do you see as being some of the key milestones along the way, or things that enabled you to grow into and I guess actually also for context, how big is the space that you're in?
Currently we have 2 units, an upstairs and a downstairs. The upstairs is about 1,500 and downstairs is 600 square feet.
Okay. So yeah, you're in that kind of 2,000 square foot plus or minus kind of sweet spot that a lot of boutique gyms are going for. And 100 to 150 kind of seems to be the upper limit of that, what that space can hold, at least from people, the gym owners that I'm talking to. So you're getting real close to maxing out your space. So what were some of the milestones there, or things that you felt that were pivotal in being able to scale to that size?
The first one was in 2023. We actually expanded our current unit, like the upstairs unit. So I believe it was like 1,200. Our lease was coming to an end because it was a 3-year agreement. And then the owners, we were actually looking at other facilities, and the owner's like, hey, if you guys need more space, you can take over part of our office. So what we ended up doing was knocking down a wall and taking over part of their office. It completely changed the layout of the gym. We got new turf the turf we had before that's another lesson I learned quick, is don't buy cheap. Because if you buy the cheap stuff, it just breaks down, and you probably have to buy it again. So we got really nice turf in here now. The layout of the gym, because we run a semi-private model here, is just so much more efficient with the expansion.
Where was that? When did you make that call? Because you were one-on-one, got the space, immediately go into small group, or was there a shift?
We were only doing one-on-one. The only group sessions we were running were like an add-on, like cardio sessions, part of a mentor or part of their membership. And then we were doing athlete training as well, which was great.
And so at what point did you make this shift? Like, talk about that process just a little bit.
So I started with Business of Strength. I was on a call with Joe, and I was like, I don't know how to do it. Everybody's one-on-one. And he basically said, like, do a misscheduling where you accidentally schedule 2 people at the same time. I was like, okay, yeah, I'll try it. And then I scheduled 2 people I thought would be a good fit together. We put them in. I was like, oh, dude, I totally messed up, guys. Are you guys cool with working out together? So it was the 2 of them. They ended up hitting it off. I'm like, hey, you guys cool just working out together? I'll bump down your rate a little bit so you guys are saving a little bit more money. I can help you guys just by saving myself an hour. Just upfront, honest, like, hey, I want to save an hour of my day. If you guys train together, I'll give you a little bit of a deal. And that's kind of like how it started. It was just accidentally scheduling them at the same time. And then with the help of Business of Strength, that's kind of our bread and butter now, is the semi-private model.
So what is it, like a 1-to-8 ratio, coach to client?
Currently with athletes, it is 1-to-8, and with adults, it is 1-to-6.
Okay. And you have, each person has their own rack, or how do you manage the operations?
So we have, every person has their iPad, which they use TurnKey Coach for. And then we'll assign them, like on our whiteboard, it'll be like, okay, iPad 1 is assigned to Andrew. I said iPad 2, Mac 3, and so on. So they'll come in, grab their iPad, and there's no like assigned. They can use the gym freely, and our coach is there to just make sure they have the best hour of their day and deliver a high-end service and adjust if, I don't know, someone sleeps on their shoulder and like, oh man, my shoulder, I can't do anything today. So coach is there to adjust, see how they're feeling, see their stress levels, and help push them.
And so programs are still 100% custom for like each client ish. They're kind of like a template.
They were. They previously, before TurnKey Coach, everything was on Google Docs. And I think on the call with Nikki earlier this week, I was telling her, I've saved so many hours every month. I think I was probably doing 5 hours a week just programming for people. It doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're doing an hour every day, it's like, okay, this is kind of annoying. And then since joining TurnKey Coach, I'm not on the floor as much coaching, but I'm probably doing 2 hours a month of programming, because I just block off a big window and I can just hammer it out in 2 hours. And going from 2 hours to 20 is significant.
When I got the email, I first heard your name from Adam Menner. He was like, hey, I just got off this call. I think he'd be a good fit for you. Sent me your contact. He's still printing out spreadsheets, and when people walk in, handing them the paper. And when I was like, oh, in my mind, I immediately just, this is probably, hopefully nobody gets offended by this, but I just assumed I was dealing with the boomer, that was still like printing out the sheets, handing them, kind of like Mac over here, just keeping things simple. So I was surprised, but what was that? I mean, that was just kind of like figuring it out as you go. This is the best thing you got, and it works. So you kind of
it was one of those. This guy that was training me, his name's Andrew Lissy. He's over at Cressy Sports Performance right now. That's how he wrote his programs, and that's how I fell in love with training. When I had my own program, I was like, I got to fill it out every week. I can see the progress. So I was like, oh, it works. I'm just going to steal his method and implement it to my gym. The layout was a little bit different. The programming, obviously, a little bit different. Like I found our system and our process for programming, but kind of just liked how he was doing it. But you guys digitized it and made it way more efficient and better. So I was like, I was, stubborn at first, like, it works. Why would I change it? And then luckily Adam's like, no, dude, you should not be spending that much time programming every week. And then once I heard Adam say it, I was like, okay, we'll hopped on a call with you, and it's been great ever since.
I was really impressed with how quickly you came up to speed. It seemed like it was basically instantaneous. So, we work with a lot of coaches, and sometimes Mac will tell you some amazing stories where we are basically coaching people on this process for, in some cases, we got one that's up to a couple of years now. That just keeps being on the back burner. But I think you were within I want to say a couple of weeks. Maybe no more than a month. You had all 100 clients on, and you were programming. What was that transition like for you to go from something that felt comfortable but slow to TurnKey Coach?
There was a little bit of backlash in the gym. Like the athletes, the kids had no problem with it. We have like a couple clients in their 70s and 80s, and they're like, I don't want to do this. I want my paper. I'm like, listen, this is what I had to do is just explain why we're doing it. I'm like, look how cool this feature is. If you get a new program with a pen and paper, I have to go into a folder, dig through your folder, figure out which program it was, see what way we did. With TurnKey Coach, all I have to do is click history. Now I can see every single week you've ever done of each exercise. And right there, it'll calculate what you should be doing for how many reps. And so it just makes it a lot easier online versus pen and paper. And I just kind of explained it to them. And then that created the buy-in where they're like, okay, I'll give this a shot. But yeah, once I was onboarded and I was committed to just getting just full send right in and get everybody going. Cause for me to learn, I just got to immerse myself in like TurnKey Coach. And I've been slacking with my own workouts in TurnKey Coach. But that's how I learned a lot very quickly, was doing my own workouts in TurnKey Coach, how to track it, what's not working, how to program. So just learning by example, just myself, and then I could teach it to our clients. And we have all of our coaches would teach it to them, and now our coaches are the one teaching it to our new clients that get onboarded.
I definitely think that's been a common thread with the people that have onboarded successfully. Counterintuitively, the longer it takes somebody to onboard, the more painful it seems to be. I've had many conversations where it's like the theory of like, okay, I'm going to do this like gradual phased approach. Most people that have tried to phase it, they get through the first phase and they're like, screw it, let's just rip it off. But when you're trying to maintain whatever your existing system is and going to a new one, I make the analogy that it's like trying to speak two different languages at the same time. It's just sort of like friction in the brain. Whereas if you just rip the Band-Aid off, work with us to figure out how to automate and transfer as much of the data that you do have. It's maybe a little bit more friction with the clients, or at least there's like that opportunity. But in some ways, I think that's also better. I do recommend that people give a little bit of like heads up, like you were saying, like here's the why behind it. But it seems like most people are able to get over that hump pretty quickly.
And I remember you were like, hey man, if you have templates that you use, just send them over and I can get them in there for you. Which you did almost immediately. So I sent you over the templates, and then you had them already locked and loaded in TurnKey Coach, which was huge. And then another thing I'll add, just for if anybody watches this, is like the learning process is pretty easy, because you guys are so helpful in Slack. If you have any questions, you throw it in Slack, and then if it's not you guys, it's another coach that can answer the question pretty quickly. So Slack has been helpful as well, just having the assistance of other coaches in there of like, hey man, this is what I do, try this. Or they'll throw in videos of like, hey, other coaches might have issues in Slack and you weren't even aware of something that was going on. You're like, oh, I didn't even know I could do that. And then you see in Slack, okay, now I can start implementing that with our clients. So it's pretty cool.
That has been actually, I think a major tipping point was right around the time that you joined. We started getting more coach to coach engagement, and there's been more than a handful of times where I will get up in the morning, because I'm on the West Coast, and there's been East Coast discussion before I even wake up. The question's been answered, and it's like, man, this is amazing. I definitely enjoy the community piece. I've been kicking around. I probably should start a project to see, I don't know what the level of effort would be, but I think it could make it even easier if we build a channel in Slack for coaches rather than having to go to Slack. I go back and forth on that, because sometimes it's nice to have that separation. And you start to get too many notifications in one place. It could be kind of a distraction, but we only have probably 10 or 15% of our coaches on the Slack community, but that's enough that we have an active crew there though. So that's been nice to see.
Absolutely.
What's your vision going forward for the business? Do you have,
for us,
you're pretty close to maxed out to the space. Are you starting to like weigh those options?
That's the goal. It's been the goal for the last 2-3 years, is just max out, get to capacity. And until then, I know you're supposed to like have a 3-year, 5-year vision. For me, I kind of just one thing at a time, keep it simple. Let's focus on doing a really good job with our clients. Let's try to get to capacity. And then once we hit it, then we'll worry about what's next. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Hit capacity.
What are your hours and how many staff coaches do you have?
So there's 4 coaches, including myself. We start at 6 a.m. and then we finish up at 7 p.m. And then we have no Sundays, just Saturday mornings available.
And it's 100% coverage from 6 to 7. So one of the 4 coaches is in
there. So we'll have like set semi-private sessions, set athlete sessions, and then in between those like semi-private athlete and adults, there's room for personal training sessions. And we just got the space downstairs. So now if there's a semi-private session going on, I can coach somebody downstairs in a private. So it kind of allows us to push through that capacity. So if it was like 130, we might be able to do more. I'm pretty sure we can. But the goal is to hit that number. And once we hit the number, then we'll worry about the rest.
What are your thoughts on exploring hybrid or key card entry where there's open gym time, where people could have a program to execute that you deliver via TurnKey Coach and you provide feedback remotely?
At our location, I probably would not do that. Just sticking to our bread and butter of the semi-private, the private model. I know there's a couple of gyms in Business of Strength that do that, but with our size, like 2,000 square feet total of both gyms, I have no experience in that realm. So it'd be like chasing a new object, chasing a shiny object, versus like, all right, let's just perfect the semi-private model and be really freaking good at 2 things. And then we could kind of go from there.
Gotcha. Well, I'll just plant that seed, plant that bug in your ear, because that does open up some scaling opportunities for sure.
Yeah.
And there'll be another level of value that you could get from TurnKey Coach at that point, because it's I'm assuming you're not doing much on the video feedback side at the moment. It's just a programming tool for you.
Most of the video feedback is my mom and my dad.
Yeah. So you got a couple personal remote clients. Yeah. I'm coaching both my parents as well. It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we're coming up pretty close to the hour here. Steven or Elaine, do you guys have any questions? Put them in the hot seat.
Yeah, I was kind of curious because I was talking to Mac about this the other day. I'm starting to think about getting my own gym within the next 18, 24 months. We'll see how all that goes. I know you said it was a little bit of a different situation how it started, but do you have any tips to give, like how I should go about that just in general, as in like finding a space? Like I know again it was a little bit different for you, but like, you know, how much square footage do you think I would really need? And it sounds like I would kind of want to do like the medium to large groups athletes is kind of my idea.
If I'm being completely honest, the best decisions I've ever made in my life were hiring help. So again, everything's different on like, it really depends. It's context dependent on like your location, where you want to open up, and your market, who you're targeting. But hiring Business of Strength you're basically paying for a shortcut. You're paying for the answers to the test that you're looking for. And because these guys, it's almost like they strive for such a high level. It's motivating to kind of follow their footsteps and shoot for like the level that they provide. So like the best advice I can get, if it's not Business of Strength, look for a mentorship where they can help you and guide you so you don't have to make the mistakes on your own. Like I made thousands of dollars worth of mistakes from 2020 to 2022. And basically had no growth from that time period. And then if we look back from just 2025 to 2026, quarter one of 2025 to quarter 2026 was a 61% profit bump, or I'm sorry, revenue jump. So it's like having them in my pocket has been world of difference. And not trying to sell them or give them up. All I could say is just find someone who's been there and done it, and it'll pay for itself. You'll get a really high ROI on it. And it might seem scary, like, oh, I don't know if I can afford that, but within a month, maybe 2 months, you'll be fine.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure.
It's interesting. I even have to overcome this resistance sometimes myself. I'm a professional coach.
Mhm.
And I use that exact same line when I'm talking to people when it comes to fitness or strength training. It's like, I'm sure that anybody out there who's motivated and has the initiative to learn how to train can do it. But they would probably take 10 to 15 years to get to the same point that I could get them in 12 to 18 months as a strength coach. But then when it comes to my business, or I mean, we've hired and worked with many coaches, but there's always this little bit of like, I don't quite connect the dots the same to, even though I'm a coach, but the same thing works for business, finances, whatever whatever your goals are. If you can find somebody that's been through what you're trying to get through, it's a shortcut. Like you said, it's very powerful.
And that also keeps, I mean, I don't know about you, I'm very ADD and I get, I want to do this, I want to do that, chasing all these shiny objects. And it's like, if you have a professional that's helping you, they just keep you in line on the vision. It's just like, all right, moving forward. We don't need you to get sidetracked over here or over here. Just focus on forward, and it holds you accountable. And to be honest with the programming, I was pretty stubborn about, like, I'm not going to pay money to do programming. Google Sheets is free, or Google Docs, whatever. And then now it's like, oh my God, would I rather pay the money or sit there for 20 hours and program? It's like, now I have all this freedom from programming to do marketing. I mean, that's kind of my main role right now is marketing. So that's kind of like my vision, but it just opens the floor for many different things that you can focus on other than writing programs. And the best thing I love about TurnKey Coach is it's safe. Like, if you write a really good program, like, oh my God, I could use this for new clients with shoulder pain. Okay, cool. This is the new template for clients with shoulder pain. Maybe I'll tweak a thing or two for each person, but the groundwork's already been laid. You don't have to go in there and like, what did I do with that person? It's already done for you. And you can map out as far you can do. Can you do a full year, Andrew? You can go pretty far. Yeah,
as far as you want. Yep.
Yeah, with the programming.
Yeah.
So if you just
and
block
you're
out
talking
time,
about being able to, like, if you wrote a program for somebody custom, the ability to just select that and save it as a template.
Yeah.
And then reuse it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's a powerful one. And that line of thinking has been on my mind so much over the years, and even more so lately, that, I grew up kind of, I think my mom technically was below the poverty line at one point, but money was such a scarce thing in my life that I was so I've always been fixated on dollars, whether it was chasing the highest paycheck or skimping on, budget, and just constantly overthinking dollars, when dollars are just a database for exchanging time. And what really is valuable in life, it is the most valuable commodity in life, which is time.
Yeah.
And whenever I can switch my framework to think in terms of time, decisions get so much more clear and so much easier. If I can exchange some dollars to get back, like you were saying, years of business, thousands of dollars of business mistakes, or hours of time a month, it becomes a no-brainer, because now I've got time back. And I think that the best way of framing it that I've ever heard is to answer this question about whether time or money is more valuable, is to ask Warren Buffett whether he would rather have another $100 billion or whatever he's got, or would he rather have 20 more years or be 20 years younger. I mean, you could get into some philosophical existential questions about whether you want to live another 20 years, but I'm pretty sure most people are going to pick, I'd rather take 20 more years, or have that time to go be able to do what I want to do.
There was
or
a
like you
post
said,
online.
reinvest it.
There was a kid, he would go around asking people, hey, would you rather have $5 million in your bank account, but you don't wake up tomorrow, or just live the rest of your life? They're like, oh, I'd rather live the rest of my life. I $5 million and die tomorrow. No, I don't want that. So it just
Right.
shows the value of time. If you really think about it.
Yep. Awesome. Elaine, anything?
Hey, can you hear me okay? Good?
Oh, yeah.
Yep, loud and clear.
Well, it's interesting. Just the first time I joined, and I was working with Carl Street for a year and a half or so, quite a few years ago now. I've been coaching for 3 years. And I started in people's houses, and then I got into a gym for like the periods of time that the gym was not open, from like, let's say 12 to 4. And then that gym went under or whatever. And then I got into another gym, same kind of situation, and they changed course after a year and a half. So I'm in this position where I'm like, okay, I need to figure out what I want to do here. So now I'm thinking about, I'm going to go back probably into people's homes for a while, but and I am like super analog. Yes. But the digital thing's definitely the way to go. So, and I haven't delved into the turnkey coach thing just because the clientele now is shrunk because of this whole situation. But I'll check it out, and maybe I'll talk to you or someone that you recommend, Andrew, to get some more info, like one-on-one or something.
Yeah, I mean, I've always plugged the turnkey.coach/disco, where you can book a call with either myself or Mac.
Okay.
I recommend Mac. He's much more pleasant. And you get to listen to the Scottish bro.
Everybody warned me about Carl before I worked with him, and I love that guy. He's kind of gruff. I'm like, perfect.
Yes. It's funny about Carl.
Mac, hi.
Yeah.
Okay,
But yeah, Mac.
Sure. What's it called? What's this site again?
Go to turnkey.coach/disco.
Okay.
Like a disco party.
Yep. Got it. All right. Thank you.
We can ask you more about your business and walk you through the app. I mean, you've experienced it as a client, obviously, I assume.
Yeah, for sure.
And,
yeah.
So, but we can show you the other side of the coin and what that's all about.
Okay. Good enough. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Robert, you've been on there kind of silent, but deadly, I assume. And this might be a bot. He's been on a couple times now, right? Oh, dang. All right. Took that personally. All right. Oh, he's back. Maybe he was trying to unmute and hung up. All right. Well, Matt, thank you again. I know you want to respect your time, but appreciate you coming on to just tell your story. And, if people want to get a hold of you, because you're one of those guys now that's further along than some of the folks that are listening to this, how can they get a hold of you? And assuming you'd want people to be able to reach out to you.
Yeah, I think the easiest way, just reach out via text or call. My phone number's, you guys want it, 856-236-6656. I know most people plug their social media. If you want to follow me on there, I'm trying my best. I'm on a 17-day streak of no scrolling. So that is
wow. No scrolling, but you've been blowing up on my feed lately.
So I have my brother. He's hired as our social media on BJolly Performance.
Okay,
so
gotcha.
Our gym is BJolly Performance. Let me see if there's a period or a dot on there. Let's see. So for the gym, it is bjolly.performance. And then for myself is just MattJolly_. Awesome. Yeah, I'm trying to spend as little time as possible on social media. So if you want to reach out, I would recommend, I'll see it. The only thing I go on there for is the notifications. But yeah, you can also just shoot me a text. That works a little bit easier.
Appreciate it, man. And I definitely want to keep in touch on the hybrid side. I know it's in the shiny object bucket, but when you hit that limit, I've got some case studies. We've had some people on here that tell you how to transition when you want to get to a point where you spend maybe even less time in the gym, although it sounds like you got a pretty good operation. But don't totally give up on that yet.
We'll not count it out. But I have to tell you one thing. We previously used Train Heroic for our online clients. We had, I believe, 7 people, including my parents and my siblings, 7 people. everyone that has switched over to TurnKey Coach has preferred it. Night and day difference. They prefer TurnKey Coach, not even close to Train Heroic. You guys can use, that's, and myself too. I used to use Train Heroic, and
Awesome.
yes,
Appreciate
you guys
that.
are night and day, just flat out better.
The one complaint that I've got from people that come to Train Heroic is they like to be able to do the individual check marks on the set, which I have that feature in works right now, should deploy by tomorrow, hopefully. As well as like 3 features for you, Steven. I got the labels going through testing right now. The client or the subscription limit. I won your request. Not only will there be a subscription limit, but you can have a wait list also. So that can be kind of fun to play with, but constantly adding features, and appreciate the plug, Matt, and wish you the best of luck. Looking forward to seeing you guys continue to grow. Until next time, there's another episode of the Business of Coaching Workshop. As mentioned earlier, if you want to talk to me or Mac, go to turnkey.coach/disco. Or if you want to register for these calls, go to turnkey.coach/BOC. And we will see you next week. Bye-bye.